public participation part of the agenda and during any public hearings as provided by law. Other public participation is at the discretion of the chair. If the Conservation Commission encounters technical problems during the meeting, the chair may, in his or her discretion, decide how to address said problems, which includes proceeding with the in-person meeting despite any virtual problems. A couple of other items. Please remember to mute your phone and/or computer when not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. When recognized, please first state your name and, if you are a resident, where you live before speaking. Finally, each vote taken during this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote of the commissioners. So the first part of calling the meeting to order on the agenda is to confirm which members of the commission are present. As I call your name, please state that you are present or here. Larry Cohen is not here this evening. Ed LaTurco.
Here.
Don Bernstein.
Can't hear you.
Okay, thank you. Indra Deb is not here. Kent Moffett.
Here.
Rob Sheehan.
Here.
And I, as vice chair, Bill Boyman, am here also. So Larry's not here and Indra is not here. So a couple of items I'd like to address before we turn to our agenda. At the last meeting, we bid farewell to Don Bernstein as a commissioner, and you may notice that he's back. He did agree to come in for one more meeting to help ensure a quorum while Chair Larry Cohen is out. We need at least 4 people to be able to vote on each item. And anything that's been continued from the last meeting, you wouldn't be able to vote on tonight because you weren't at that last meeting, you weren't a commissioner then. So Don has come in to help us overcome that obstacle. This will officially be Don's last meeting. Commissioner Jennifer O'Riordan has resigned as of January 1st. So we're going to wait until Chairman Cohen is present at the next meeting to give her the recognition she deserves. Jennifer will be missed. And tonight we'd like to welcome a new Conservation Commissioner, Mr. Rob Sheehan. Rob grew up in Arlington, loves the outdoors. I'm reading some pieces from your resume that you put in. Is interested particularly in native plants and pollinators. Has lived in Burlington for more than 10 years and has already familiarized himself with our new stormwater management bylaw, which he thinks is a positive document. So he's currently working at Mass General Brigham as a clinical data manager in the Center for Alzheimer's Research and Treatment in Neurology. Enjoys science and engineering and would work to learn the technical responsibilities of being a commissioner. So thank you for joining us, Rob, and it's a pleasure to have you on the commission.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. So let's proceed now with the items on the agenda. We're on item number 2, which is public participation. Is anyone here in present or online that is here for something that is not on the agenda? The record will show that the answer is no. So we move on to approval of minutes for December 8, 2022 meeting. Do we have any issues with the minutes? Are we in a position to approve? Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Kent?
Okay, so we will now ask for approval. And I'll go through my list of people that is here. Ed LaTurco.
Yes.
Don Bernstein.
Yes.
Kent Moffett.
Yes.
Rob, you will abstain. Yep, okay. And I, Chairman, vote yes. So in a vote of 4-0-1, the minutes are accepted, approved. We move on to item 4A, request for determination of applicability for 33A Fairfax Street, Paul Nichols, for the construction of a residential addition. If there's someone here, please come up and have a seat. Welcome, Mr. Nichols.
Hello, thank you.
You get to start us off and describe what you'd like at your project. Please introduce yourself and state your address and tell us about the project.
Sure, yeah, so Paul Nichols, resident of Burlington at 33A Fairfax Street. The proposed project is in a 16-foot by 32-foot family room addition on the left side of the house if you're from the street facing the house. And it is set back about a foot from the front edge of the house and extends 32 feet. So the 16 feet sort of follows parallel to the street, and then 32 feet goes back perpendicular to the street. Where the proposed addition ends is, I believe it's 152 feet from the stream.
From the stream, which is behind the property.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Eileen or John, you got some comments for us?
It's as Paul described, it's pretty simple. So I'm just sharing the site plan up here. As he explained, it's a fairly small addition that he's proposing to put. It's out to the side, but because there is a stream that shows up on a regulatory streams map along the back end of the property, the stream is about 162 feet from the existing house. So the addition is going to be about 10 feet closer than the existing house. It'll be up to approximately the level of the patio and the deck that he has there. So this puts it into riverfront, so hence the RDA. I'm not concerned about this though as being an issue. It's going on existing lawn only. And as I recall, the property is fairly level right at the level of the house. There's a little bit of a drop, and then it becomes very flat back towards the stream, and there's a fence between the backyard and the stream anyway.
Okay. Let's go to the commission and see if anyone has any comments. A few of us were out there for a site visit. Ed, any comments?
No, nothing that I can see. It's pretty clean looking what he's proposing. I definitely feel no problems.
Okay, Kent?
As Eileen said, it's like within grass and it's pretty minor, so I don't have an issue.
All right. Don?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, again, this is one that is easy to approve. It's a good distance from the resource area, which is a regulated stream. It's more than 100 feet, so it's in the outer riparian zone, which is somewhat easier to approve work in. Is anything happening to the shed at all? Is it going to stay where it is?
Yeah, there was no plans to touch that.
That might involve work in the inner riparian if something was done with that. And do we have any concerns about runoff from the rooftop of this? It's just going to be,
Well, as we said, it's all grassed, so even if he doesn't, infiltrate into the, into units, which is expensive to do with an addition, it will just go onto grass, which is also reasonably far away from his neighbours. I would just ask him just to be cognizant of the neighbours and make sure the runoff goes towards the centre of your lot rather than anywhere near your neighbours. I didn't say, I implied it, but I didn't say specifically that no trees or other plants will be taken down for this addition. It's just purely grass.
okay. So in that case, I think we can move on to, do we have a decision on this, or is this,
We did draft one, which I will share right now. Okay, so, and Mr. Nichols got a copy of this earlier. I sent you one, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I received
Okay,
it.
sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. So this is just referencing your name and address and the plot plan, the plan references the plot plan that you provided. The applicant proposed to construct a 32 by 16 foot addition to an existing house that is within the outer riverfront area to Sandy Brook. Sorry, I forgot to say it's Sandy Brook. It's not just an unnamed stream. The addition would be approximately 10 feet closer to the stream at 152 feet than the closest point of the existing house. The proposed building would be within riverfront area. There is also bordering land subject to flooding on the property, but the proposed work was not within BLSF. Most of the decision is saying that this is only for the project as is described in here and as we described tonight, and then there's these conditions that just you have to adhere to for the project to go ahead, which is just saying this is only for work outlined in the project, and anything else you would have to come back to us. Before beginning, you should install sediment barriers approximately 30 feet behind the existing house, and those could be staked straw wattles, filter socks, or hay bales, just a line straight across, and those would remain in place while work is being done and until the disturbed area is being revegetated. All construction or demolition materials and excavated soils shall be disposed of off-site. Materials shall be securely stockpiled in a site that minimises likelihood that materials will run onto the resource areas or onto the streets, and stockpiles should be at least 20 feet from the street if it's going to be more than 5 feet high. No tracking of sediment onto public roadways shall be allowed, and roadways shall be swept if your concrete trucks or something sediment out. No filling or grading on the property beyond what is required for the approved work, and we're not really expecting any significant grading for this at all.
No, that's right.
Don't dump anything into the stream or the vegetated wetlands, which is way down the back end of your yard. And please don't plant any invasive species, or don't use pesticides, herbicides or fungicides within 100 feet of a wetland or within the riverfront area. And it's just allowing us the discretion to go on site just to check that you're adhering to these conditions.
Understood.
I apologize to Rob, I was thinking this was a continued one and you wouldn't have an input, but you did. Did you have any questions or concerns on this topic at all?
No, I don't. It seems pretty straightforward.
Okay, I apologize for that. Okay, in that case, did you have any questions about this document at all?
Nope, I had a chance to review it, no questions.
Okay, then we're in a position to issue a negative determination of applicability. Negative sounds negative, but it's not, it's positive. It means that you do not have to file anything greater, that this is sufficient as it was submitted. So, may I have a motion to approve a negative determination of applicability for the project at 33A Fairfax Street?
So moved, Kent?
Okay,
Second.
Second,
all right, let's have a vote. Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dawn?
yes,
Kent?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And chairman votes yes, so for a vote of 5-0-0, you are all set. Your project is approved.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank
You'll
you.
receive the actual official paper next week. It'll be Wednesday. If you prefer to pick it up in person, you can do that. It'll always be mailed out.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate
Have a
it.
good night.
You'll collect them all.
You're welcome.
All right, next on the agenda is item 4B. Project at 5 Burlington Woods Drive, also known as 15 Burlington Mall Road. Applicants Tony Ecker and Jeremy Rogers from 5 Burlington Woods LLC for parking lot reconstruction and generator installation. Who is here for that
I
project?
think someone's here online.
Hello,
Good
sir.
evening, Mr. Chairman. This is Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting. Can you hear me well?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Excellent. So my name is, again, Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting here on behalf of the applicant Tony Ecker of 5 Burlington Woods. And this is a request for determination of applicability for the property known as 15 Burlington Mall Road. The project's called 5 Burlington Woods. The purpose of this project is to redevelop existing impervious surfaces, and in the net results in a decrease. And I'm just going to share my screen, pull up the plans, and show, let's see, I think I have to go, okay, here we go. So I'm gonna, I think, can you see the site plans now?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the existing conditions plan at 15 Burlington Mall Road. So this is Burlington Mall Road here. This is Burlington Woods Road to the bottom of the page. The existing building is an L-shaped building here. Most of the building is on piers, so there's actually parking underneath it. So when you see the plan here, and I'm going to zoom in on the building itself, you can see there's parking underneath the building, and that's because it's raised on piers and allows for parking underneath the structure itself. The center core of the building does touch the actual ground itself here, where the elevator after shaft is and the lobby is. And there's a section of the building up in here that is at grade at the drive here. The wetland resource areas on the property is a isolated vegetated wetlands. In this area right here, it has several stormwater pipes, one from the adjacent property here that goes into it up here, and the site has a discharge right here into here. The site has deep sump catch basins that collect into a various number of drainage pipes, and they all discharge at this point right here. There is an existing HVAC and concrete pad and several large masonry walls in this area right here. That's the closest development area to the wetlands right now. And then the rest is just parking lot along the edge here with the building in this area here. Your 100-foot buffer zone is right here, this dashed line, coming in here to here. So a portion of the building is in it, and then a portion of the parking lot is in it. but most of the property is outside the buffer zone itself. Those are the existing conditions on the property. So the proposed activities are just get to the right sheet here. So, so again, here's your buffer zone right here to the wetlands itself. This is your 20-foot no disturb. So the activities proposed within the buffer zone are limited to the redevelopment of the parking lot and adding larger landscape islands here and here, which ends up decreasing your net impervious surface on the site. We have some additional utility work here from a pier here all the way over here where we want to put a generator inside this existing concrete pad. There's a new section of wall that goes in here to fill in a gap. So there's a low wall and we want to fill in that wall basically, and that provides a noise barrier basically for this utility space. So in regards to impervious surface or activities in this area, we're working within an existing concrete pad area. We're just putting a wall up over a short wall. There's no new wall, no new footings, no new digging happening. It's just a masonry wall that's built on top of an existing short wall. And then you have a utility line that gets trenched in from the building over to the generator here. The rest of the work in the buffer zone is just this pavement work here, which is again for reconfiguring some landscape islands with some light poles and some additional utility work over here. And the reason why this utility line goes like this into the buffer zone is because this is actually a slope. So you drive down this slope here to get underneath the building. And so to allow this utility line to be trenched up through here rather than going through this retaining wall right here at a really high depth and elevation, they're running it like this through the existing parking lot area. So those are the areas within the buffer zone. Outside the buffer zone, we have a few things happening. We have a reconfiguration of some pavement in here to construct a loading dock. That loading dock is just to allow the building to have additional commercial uses than existing conditions, just to allow trucks to be able to back in here. Because it's a loading dock, there will be a lower section of pavement placed here instead of a higher point. And because of that, they're installing a trench drain that will go through an oil gas separator here that will tie into the existing drain line here. And that's basically just to provide treatment and extra treatment for that area, just because it is going to be an area where trucks are parked versus just cars. And so the goal is to provide a high level of treatment before it goes in there. Again, there's a decrease in net impervious surfaces in the buffer zone because they're reconfiguring the landscape islands and actually making them bigger and replanting them with the shrubs. There's another additional area up here. We're doing some additional sidewalk here. This is a part of the planning board request. There's no good sidewalk access from Burlington Mall Road over to Berlin Woods Church Drive. So we're adding some sidewalk in here and a crosswalk with a sidewalk there. And that creates uniformity for walking from Burlington Mall Road all the way over to Burlington Woods Drive, which is going to be a really good, significant benefit to the public and provide really good pedestrian safety. That's the project in a nutshell. The stockpiling is going to be outside the buffer zone. We have erosion controls shown. All catch basins are going to have silt sacks to prevent discharge. But in regards to real earthwork, there's really no raising of grades. There's going to be some excavation and removal of soil. And then that's about it. So we don't have really new grade areas of slopes or areas that are really going to be seeded. Most of the work is trenching in existing asphalt, and then it will be repaved. That's my presentation. If there's any other questions, I'd be glad to take them.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to John. You got this one? Okay.
Okay, so for a request for determination, this is a fairly complex project, and part of that is that we actually have two filings for this project. You have the request for determination of applicability on the agenda tonight. We also have an application for our stormwater bylaw that we have in the office, which is under the 20,000 square foot threshold. So at this point, it's an administrative permit because there's a lot of work, obviously, outside the buffer zone that comes to something like 18,000, I think, square feet of land disturbance. So I have a couple of questions probably that are related more to the stormwater bylaw. But can you tell me, so the wetland, the isolated wetland, appears to be a man-made wetland. Is there an outlet for that, or does all the stormwater, for this entire site go to that wetland? And is that the end point, or is there a discharge from that?
So just from an existing condition standpoint, I'm going to bring you back to the existing conditions sheet. All the drain lines from the property do drain to this area. It's an area that definitely sees flooding. When we delineated it, it definitely showed evidences of ponding. It was dry at the time when we delineated it, but so it definitely holds water. There's a pipe that comes out here that goes to Burlington Woods Drive. I'm not exactly sure where that goes. But from our understanding, I know there was a previous filing with the adjacent property that this was isolated. And so we went out and delineated it. We had flags very similar to what they flagged, which went all the way up into this grass swale here, connecting the pipe here. And so from our understanding of the review, it's an isolated vegetated wetland, and all the stormwater does go just to this wetland here and eventually recharges.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking that is if there's no outlet to that wetland, I'd probably be less concerned about the water quality structures up gradient, since if it doesn't discharge to our municipal storm system or to any wetlands, if that's the end point of all the stormwater. If not, if there is an outlet and it connects to the MS4 on Burlington Woods Drive, then we will probably, as part of the stormwater review, want some sort of inspection of the existing catch basins to see if they're, what the sump depths are and what their condition is. Do you know, are they planning on reconstructing the parking lot at all?
So basically, yes. So the parking lot, in areas that are where work is being occurring, they're repaving and basically patching the asphalt. So, but I think from a standpoint of the whole parking lot, I don't think that's the intention is to it isn't to just repave the entire property. It's just to be basically repaving the areas that are where work is occurring. In regards to the stormwater, again, that to the best of my knowledge, the area is isolated.
Okay, I mean, they are coming in to meet with the development coordination team, the department, the various departments in a couple of weeks, so we can certainly ask the civil engineer.
And the project is before planning board as well, so there will be some additional review from that board as well.
Okay, all right, so I mean, most of my concerns are related to that, and we'll have another bite of the apple on that. I don't really have any concerns about the request for determination of applicability.
Okay, thank you. Let me go to the commissioners now and see if they have any comments.
Now, the outlets themselves from that upper parking lot, did you say there's one or two pipes coming out of that?
There's one pipe in the upper area, so I'm going to bring back to the existing conditions plan. There's one inlet up here that comes in right here. This area is actually almost a grass swale, and then right here is where you actually get some woods. So our delineation comes all the way up in through this grass swale. We actually looked at it a little bit carefully just because we weren't sure if the swale really was hydrologically part of it, but with the pipe coming in here, we delineated the whole swale that drains down to the lower part of the wetland, which is down here.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, Don? Any comments?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, Kent?
John covered the one question I had.
All right, Robin?
No questions.
Okay, I'm finding it kind of hard to follow the drainage of the whole parking lot. How many catch basins are there on this lot?
So there's a catch basin here.
Yep,
There's a catch basin here.
okay,
There's a catch basin here that drains to this manhole right here. You've got a catch basin here, which drains to this catch basin here, which goes to this catch basin here, which goes to this drain line here. And
All
these
right.
all connect and go right down here to one outlet. So you have a system basically draining here to here. This side of the site goes to here, and then this end here goes to there.
okay. And what is that last junction point? Is that a catch basin also, or just a manhole before
It's a
the?
drain. It's a drain manhole. It's not a catch
It's a
basin
drain
there.
manhole. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so if we did end up with concerns about water quality, that could be a location to put in a water quality unit if everything ties in through there. So we'll have to wait on that decision if it's something we would want to encourage or not, depending upon what the rest of the hearings decide. Questions I had were answered. I'm noticing what's marked as the resource area. Half of it is mowed and half of it is not. If we're gonna call it a resource area, should we prohibit mowing in any of it? Or does that make a difference? Is it important?
Well, from a question of use, I mean, this area was probably an old wetland that was regraded into a stormwater basin. So it is functioning like a stormwater basin. So this area does, it's basically you have grass slope here from this parking lot right here,
Yep.
which is the hotel, comes down and you have a grass slope up here. So it's kind of part of the landscape network in this area here is to have this grass. And it looks like there's a pretty well-defined edge right here where you end up
Yes.
with large shrubs and trees. And so it definitely looks like they haven't been encroaching in there. There hasn't been any landscape dumpings or anything in that area either. So I think from a standpoint of maintaining existing conditions, I think that the applicant would like to just maintain that because it blends in with the rest of the property. I don't think it really impacts the function. This area of the wetland is a lot higher in regards to it's really a drainage swale basically, but it is kind of part of the wetland in regards to functionality. You can see the topo starts right here, it drops down a foot, and then down in here it drops down another foot. So you're a lot higher up here than down here. So I don't think there's a lot of ponding that happens in this area at all. I think it receives some water. It may flood very short in large storms and then drains to the lower spot.
Okay, do you agree that mowing it doesn't affect its function much?
No, I mean, it's not a high-value wetland, obviously. It's basically for stormwater.
The only other comment I had was there seemed to be a significant amount of trash in the part that's not mowed, with the bushes and the shrubs. Looked like there might have been a high wind incident or something. There was, printer paper, dozens of pieces all over that area. So appreciate it if that could get cleaned up.
Absolutely. I'll make sure the applicant team knows that and we'll get that cleaned up right away.
Okay, yeah, there's even some bottles and cans in there as well, from what I don't know. Okay, I think that's all I have for questions. Do you feel we can close this application tonight?
Sure.
Okay, then let's go over the document.
Okay. So there's a lot of plan references to the findings.
Did you hit share? Oh, sorry, you're waiting for me to share.
Yeah, I'm just going to read it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can't multitask, sorry. So it's the project description includes a lot of the site work that's not actually within the buffer zone. So really the work in the buffer zone is the landscape islands and the work around the generator and the wall near the generator. Work is in the 100-foot buffer zone to vegetated wetlands under the Burlington bylaw, so it's not a state-regulated wetland. Closest work is about 10 feet from the wetland. The commission's not actually agreeing to the formal boundaries because of the time of year where we didn't go out and check soils, but we generally agree that the delineation looks good. We never finished the stormwater management section on this. We should just delete
Well-
that because we'll do that under a stormwater bylaw.
Right,
So
we were
that
just
section you
wondering
can just skip.
whether our discussion would lead to something.
Yeah. So conditions is for the project as described, no other work is approved. Condition 2 is regarding the installation of erosion controls prior to construction, standard condition. Condition 3 and 4, we'll just delete the first 4, the first,
3 and 4.
yeah, and then there's another 4 after it, we won't delete the second 4. Excavated materials should be disposed of in a legal manner, no tracking of sediments, stockpiling, as shown on the reference plans, no filling or grading under this decision, no dewatering unless we've review and approved the dewatering plan in advance. Number 9 is a standard condition about the commission's right to access to do inspections, and condition 10 is about what happens if there's non-compliance.
Oh, do we want to add something, as Bill said, about, you know, hand removal of debris of, you know,
Sure.
Yes, yeah, condition of trash removal in the area, yep. Okay, very good. So in that case, do you have any other questions regarding the document, sir?
No, thank you so much.
Then let's go to a vote I need a motion to approve, to issue a negative determination of applicability for 5 Burlington Woods Drive.
So moved, Don.
Okay,
Second.
all right, let's go to the vote. Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 5-0-0, the motion is approved. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. So when you say we'll get another bite at the apple, let's actually come before us again? Is it-
No, not necessarily you, but
Other
us.
people. Okay.
If it's under 20,000.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the erosion control stuff, if it's under 20,000 square feet, like 10 to 20, it can be approved administratively by the staff without coming before the commission. Over 20,000 square feet of disturbance has to come before us. There you go. Okay, next up on the agenda is item 4C, request for determination of applicability at 72 Wilmington Road. Mr. Robert Rumley for landscaping activity. Good evening, sir. Would you introduce yourself and,
Yes, my name is Robert Rumley. I purchased 72 Wilmington Road. I have just been clearing the lot. I went and saw conservation a few days after about some dead trees, still haven't removed them. I have just cleaned up some brush and cleaned up the stream that they asked me, and some debris that was in the stream that was there. And I replaced existing walkways and pavement that was there, that was already on the property. Haven't touched any of the footprint that wasn't there, or
Okay.
from the prior, I guess, person that lived there, but it was a few years since the person has lived there.
okay, thank you. Let me get comments from the staff, please.
So as Mr. Rumley described, he has not touched the footprint of the house. That the house is as is. It is very close to a stream. It's actually part of the Ipswich River. I think somebody noticed that landscaping was occurring, and we tried to make contact with Mr. Rumley, who came in and visited us and explained that, as he said, he was going to be redoing some walkways that were already there, and he wouldn't do any other work. We've had a little bit of trouble just with communication, trying to get an RDA in. So we have been out to the site. I was really only on the site properly with everybody else a few days ago, but I have taken a lot of pictures from off the site. So as he said, back over here, some of my pictures are old and some of them are newer. This is where he had, I guess, replaced.
Replaced a-
There was a pathway that went around the side
It
of the
was
house.
done with pavement.
So it looks like a patio there. I think the little wall might be new, but I'm not really sure about that. And then he's put this little concrete pad for the heating element or whatever that is at the side of the house. He was explaining to me, but maybe he can explain a little better, about how this, the trench drain There were some pipes that were going down the side of the house that were pretty rusted, and he replaced those with PVC, and he's now got that exiting, sorry, I'm gonna make what you're seeing a little bigger. There's a pipe that exits over here. I don't know if anybody can see on the picture on the right, on the left, sorry, far left. I have a little trouble with left and right. But apart from that, his landscaping, his cleanup seems to have been a bit severe. There are definitely some places where it looks like trees were taken down. Now, this one was definitely damaged, but there are other places where there are either trees down, branches have been taken off. Pruning is fine in the riverfront, but he's taken down a lot of bushes like rhododendron. And I do have a question, which is these trees here towards the front are marked. I don't know if you can see them again I'm going to make my cursor bigger in a second. The left-hand photograph, there are trees that are marked there towards the front of the house. Were you proposing to take those down?
I got a price from Easton Tree Removal, and it wasn't close to being in my budget, so.
Just as well.
It wasn't even close to my budget.
So he put this, I think this is a temporary bridge, which
Yes.
he put there just in order to access over and back. As he explained, he did take some, I don't know, planks and various rubbish out of the stream, so that's good. But my concern is the fact that his cleanup was pretty severe. He definitely took down quite a few bushes. And I'm just going to show you here. This is the other side of the stream. It looks like they've dumped a lot of branches and the rhododendron shrubs back in there. And there's a lot of wood chips from their pruning work. And there's definitely quite a lot of saplings and smaller trees did seem to have been taken down with their pruning.
The one on the left, that picture, when was that picture taken?
When? Yesterday.
Yesterday?
This one?
That
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be cleaned up. I thought we wood chipped all of that when we had that chipper there for the things. We pulled everything out of the back. That'll be thrown away in the dumpster.
Okay, let's go to the commissioners for comments. We'll start the other way. Rob, do you have any comments?
I guess is that river within the property lines? So it's on your property itself?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of I mean, for me, just, I'm looking at the river, it looks like it might be of interest to have, it looks like there might be a little bit of erosion possibly from the water towards like the slope of the bank seems to be a little bit curved, so it could be, I mean, I don't know if it's I didn't visit the site, but if the stream is constantly flowing, it might be of interest to have some, like, vegetation in the area
Absolutely.
to help, like, stabilize the bank.
Exactly. Yes, very good point.
So there was, the previous owners, a long time ago, had actually armored the bank with timbers. And so Mr. Rumley actually removed some of those timbers. They were all, rotting and falling into the stream and whatnot. So the stability of the bank, it's probably going to take a while for it to restabilize because of that stuff that he pulled out of there. But it was a good thing that he did.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Bill, sorry to interrupt. I know it wasn't super clear to Rob that this stream is actually only 44 feet behind the existing house. So it's really pretty close.
Yeah, or at least it could also be of interest in the, foundation integrity or, water into the unit too, if the, have
Yeah, whatever you guys suggest, I'll plant it there. I mean, I'm 100% for that.
Yeah, I think we would want some planting along the bank.
Yes.
On both sides, if that's possible. Kent?
Just based on your comments, Eileen, are you proposing like some type of like replanting in that area? Like, and to John's point about like if there was prior some type of stability that's eroded, is there some type of like you would want done or?
Well, as we had, just partly for Rob's benefit, as we had explained earlier, everything within 200 feet of certain streams, a lot of streams in town, it's a protected area. So it's a resource area, so it serves a lot of functions. So yes, I do think it's important to stabilize, to keep such areas pretty well vegetated. So I would think it would be prudent to replant several feet, certainly on the house side of the property, to try to improve the habitat that's there and to improve the stability and to just provide some new native cover. So yes.
Is there something you guys would propose that would be
Native trees and shrubs.
okay, a certain number that you would want to put in the
I think
plan?
that's maybe to be discussed.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Don?
I concur. I think that the area needs to be stabilized and mitigated with replanting.
All right, Ed?
This is there for me also, but I would just bring to your attention that along the banks of the river, the thing that would really reinforce why you want plantings, there's a lot of roots that are actually just coming right out of the banks, going nowhere. That's a loss to whatever trees those roots belong to. So now you gotta create something that's gonna stabilize that area based on what you're hearing. But I saw plenty of roots that are just sticking out the side of the banks that, through erosion, through other methods, that's caused that. The bridge itself that you have there, when does that temporary responsibility go away?
I put that up, the first weekend I purchased the house so I could get back there, because I didn't want to walk on 68's property to clean up the debris that was there. It has, it's screwed down, it's two 4x12s. It can come up at any time and be hauled away. I did it myself, I can pull it up, pull it out, within minutes.
Looking at the need as to why it's still there, if you needed any particular reason?
Well, as of today, I'm gonna need it to get back there to get some more of that debris that she
You're
wants.
still after that?
Yeah, get that debris out of there, as of, after this meeting tomorrow, the next day, or whatnot.
Okay.
Or even access to the far bank for planting,
Right,
you
right.
know, till we
Yeah,
get
you do
everything
that
done.
too. You do that
Once it's
far
done,
bank.
you do intend to take it.
Absolutely, it's just temp.
Okay, yeah, I think all of my questions were answered by the group here. Seems like there was a lot of cutting of stuff. I mean, it's obviously just been cleared. And as was pointed out, rivers are protected, especially if they're regulated streams. This is a particularly sensitive resource area because it is part of the Ipswich River. And the Ipswich River has extra protection in the Massachusetts regulations specifically. So that makes it, regardless of its size, or even if it was, not always running, that if it's named as part of the Ipswich River, it gets the protection as a regulated stream. And the river banks are part of that system that must be protected. This is so close to the house. I mean, obviously, we can't say, oh, you gotta leave 100 feet. You don't have 100 feet by any means. So, we need to define an area along the edge of the bank that should be planted and left to be natural. I would suggest perhaps something like 10 foot. Does that sound like reasonable? I mean, we can't really even do 20 foot, no disturb here, so close to the house.
Yeah.
do you think?
I think, what do you think, 10?
Yeah.
So if we could get that planted, and would you say that should be both sides of the stream?
I was gonna say that if you just leave the other side sort of untouched, it'll come in. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think on the
Just-
house side, plant some things on the house side to kind of just help restore it, should I say?
Right. Okay.
You have something else to add, sorry.
That's fine. I agree with that.
Now, in terms of, selling the house and somebody, I assume you're not building it to live in, you're building it to sell? Or, You don't know, okay, either way.
Well, I've been on it for a year and a half, so the idea was to move in, but
Oh,
at this
oh.
point,
I just assumed, for some
Yeah.
reason, my mistake. You know, if you finish the project and whoever lives there, I mean, obviously, that's your property on the far side of the stream and stuff. And even though it's protected area, it doesn't mean you can't walk over there and enjoy nature or whatever. But if you did want to put a more permanent bridge across there to allow access to it, that would be a more significant change to the resource area and would require probably a full notice of intent before us to do something like that. Doesn't mean it can't be done. And again, you know, you can't do anything major on the other side, but it is a nice, if you like nature, it's a beautiful spot, you know, it really is. So, okay. Any other concerns? Do you want to go through a findings here?
Sure. Do I have it ready? I sent Mr. You got that, right?
yes, thank you.
I sent him a copy earlier, so if he has questions, he will ask them after I just go through it. It starts off with his name and address, and the only plan we had was a sketch provided by applicant. He proposed to construct a patio low retaining wall behind the existing house, trim trees and remove volunteer saplings, replace a degraded pipe conveying stormwater from the driveway and garage behind the house, replace concrete walkway in front and right side of existing building, clear debris and branches from the stream. The work would be within the inner riparian zone of the 200-foot riverfront area to the Ipswich River and the 100-foot buffer zone to Bank. The work was located within 200 feet of Ipswich River, and the closest work, which was the replacing and resetting the stormwater discharge pipe. Well, that was sort of physical work. I didn't really count the trimming, because that went right up to the bank. The closest structural work was approximately 35 feet from the stream bank. This just goes on to explain about how the Commission has historically considered this stream to be the Ipswich River. And even if it isn't, it's on the regulatory streams map, and as such still has a 200-foot riverfront area. This filing was in response to contact by staff after unauthorized work was observed. At a site visit, commissioners present and conservation staff noted that a lot of vegetation had been removed right up to the edge of the bank. While the trees removed appear to have been dead, the shrub and herbaceous layer was removed except for some rhododendron species, and the area was covered in wood chips. Nonetheless, the Commission is voting to issue a negative determination of applicability, and the decision for work only as outlined above, as we described. Any construction or demolition degrees, the material and excavated soil should be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No stockpiling of soil or other materials within 50 feet of, it says wetlands, but wetlands or stream bank. No tracking of sediments onto public roadways shall be allowed. These are all pretty standard, and most of the work is actually done in this case. There should be no filling or grading, significant grading of the property under this decision. I don't think any grading did occur. Trash and sediment shall not be dumped in the stream or vegetated wetlands. So I think he's going to also remove the, if you wish, I can put that in as a clarification. You know, at some point after this meeting, he will also remove the
Bridge.
Well, I didn't mean the bridge. That's a good point. Bridge and debris behind
The branches and stuff, yeah.
to be removed. I'll make that look a little nicer.
He
When I
also
have-
still has that option of putting a permanent bridge in if he wants.
Well, he'd have to
And
reapply.
if he does so, then he will have to come back again.
Yeah.
And then, so we had a discussion here about the inner whatever feet. We had proposed something, and I think we agreed there that the inner 10 feet of the riverfront shall be restored by a dense planting of native shrub species. Oh, I think maybe we just need to clarify. Oh, no, that is clear. Inner implies the side only the side towards the house, right? Yes. Sorry.
Just say the side towards the house.
Right,
Is it
it
inner,
is actually
we
both
use inner
sides.
riparian
It
as-
is both sides. I'm gonna write closer to the house in brackets. Shall be restored by a dense planting of native shrub species. That the Conservation Department shall not sign off on an occupancy permit prior to the planting completion, and Mr. Rumley shall not use pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides basically on this property, and we have permission to go and just check on on the work to see that the plantings have been done.
I think on number 8, that we need to approve the species.
Okay,
You have
I
to
agree.
also do like a certain time frame for the plants, like if you guys go back and monitor, does that need to be in this case or no?
I mean, like, we have a growing season or something
Yeah.
like that?
Is that,
No.
that's applicable?
There's no real bond being held or anything like
Yeah.
that, so.
Alright, never mind.
I think there's plenty of water. That river's
Yeah.
moving right now, so
Yes,
I
it
mean, there's some moisture back there. So it's,
I
whatever we
think-
plant there is gonna grow, for sure.
I think you're right.
yeah, let me find the usual standard words that we use for that we shall agree on the type of species. Sorry, did we think that you need to put anything about the, shall not sign off prior to planting completion? I think he's got a point. It's so close to the river that it's a pretty damp area.
Yep. Okay,
And that's a good point, there's no bond, so it's, to me, it's to John's point.
Well, you're right too.
Yeah. I think that's a good point.
I just have one curious question. The drain is in front of the garage door. Have you tested that to see if it's actually gonna take the amount of water you're gonna catch? Or that's such a pitch in that driveway?
There was a crude drain there before, and there was one in the garage that all went into.
In the garage?
In the garage also. I have pictures of those, and it did not work. Obviously, that no one's lived in the house for a few years now, due to the lady passing away. So all I did was put a PVC pipe like she showed, and traced it out the back I want to bring it to the river, so I just put it, as the grade went down, I just kind of left it into rock, and it's above ground, because I didn't know what to do at that point, because I was trying to catch as much water as I could coming down the driveway. But that road 62 has kind of a little, like, hump before you get on it, so it kind of keeps everything, I think when they did the road, I think it all goes to the drain, which is actually in front of my house. There's not much, only thing it catches is what's on the driveway, at least in the last month that I've noticed.
Hopefully so.
Yeah.
good. All right, we all set?
Yes, I was just gonna try and look at the front of the house on,
Okay, then I think we are ready then to go for a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability for the project at 72 Wilmington Road. Anyone have a motion to do that?
So move.
Second, Ken?
Okay, let's have a
mean?
vote. Ed,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, that's 500. You're approved, good luck on the project, and, just keep in mind that, it's kind of a privilege to live at the headwaters of the Ipswich River, you really are there, and it's a beautiful piece of property, and I hope you enjoy it and respect it.
Thank you so much, and
Okay.
thank you guys.
property, actually. It's
Take care.
Great area.
Okay, next on our agenda is request for certificate of compliance or completion and release of surety for the first site of 39 Crest Haven Drive, Jimmy Chu LLC, DEP number 122680. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members. For the record, Attorney James Giuliano, Scafidi Giuliano, 42 Pleasant Street, Woburn. As my cover letter suggests, this is kind of a unique situation, but my client purchased 39 Crest Haven Drive last September. Got an order of conditions to raise the existing dwelling that was on the property and build a new single-family residence. The owner of 2 Crest Haven actually approached my client, and they did a house swap, essentially. So my client bought 2 Crest Haven, and they bought 39 with no intention to raise the existing structure. They're gonna remain in that house, some interior, renovations, but nothing with the structure itself. So as a result, there's no need to have an order of conditions outstanding. We're asking to get a certificate of compliance. No work has been started, no work is being proposed at all whatsoever.
Okay, that sounds easy.
Yeah. They usually are.
Right, is that indeed the case?
Yes, it is. That's basically exactly what happened. You approved, and you issued an order of conditions last year, just a few months ago, for a tear down and a rebuild. It was in the riverfront area and in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. I'm trying not to use the acronyms for you, Rob, just yet. At the time, I think you had suggested maybe a fence, but I don't, since absolutely nothing has happened, I don't really say that you can, no, I have no issue with this being a COC for work not done at all.
Okay. And I think, I'm not even gonna ask for comments, since nothing was done, we can just remove the existing application and call it completed.
So the certificate of compliance actually has a box that you check that says it's an invalid order of conditions, and it's basically voiding, and that's what you're voting on.
All right, I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for 39 Cresthaven Drive.
So moved, Kent.
Feel free to second. There you go. Okay, Rob gets his first vote. Okay, so let's have a vote, please. Ed?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. That's by a vote of 5-0-0. Certificate of compliance is approved.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And obviously, we never got a bond on this.
Right.
Right.
I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Okay, item 5B is request for certificate of compliance for 207 Cambridge Street. Federal Invest Trust, Mo Santagello, I don't know, I think I butchered that, for wetland bylaw permit. Is someone here for that?
Yes, Chair, this is Fred Russell. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, just to give these some background, 207 Cambridge Street, we had to file for a permit under the town's bylaw for some drainage improvements. I don't know if some of the members recall, but there was this, a lot of runoff coming from the hill to the east, I believe, of the site, coming down the hill, runoff across the parking lot and actually causing icing problems out on Cambridge Street. We had come in back probably a year and a half ago to provide some drainage to collect that runoff and provide some infiltration on the property, and then have an overflow, which we received approval from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts MassDOT to connect to their drainage system in Cambridge Street. That work has been completed. Although all the work under the permit we had applied for is complete, we aren't asking for a certificate of compliance, but just more of a surety release, because during the planning board process, there was some work that the planning board required or requested and required about removing some asphalt in front of the building, which will occur within 100 feet. So our thought is to keep the permit open until that work is complete in the spring, and then at that point, we will come for certificate of compliance. But we are looking for bond surety release for the drainage improvements, which are 100% complete.
Okay, thank you. Comments from the staff?
I think Fred made it clear. I was sharing the plan as he was speaking. There is a wetland down the side of the building. And they had a kind of a, I don't know what you call it, like a self-designed little pool back here to try and take the drainage. It really wasn't very successful. And as he explained, that where my cursor is showing, there was a lot of runoff that was coming out onto the sidewalk and onto Cambridge Street. So they built this much more substantial basin, which I'll share pictures of in just a minute. I just wanted to show you guys the aerial first. And they made their connection to the DOT. DOT owns Cambridge Street, so that's why they had to get permission specifically from them to connect into their storm drain system. So that's really fixed. But as he explained, there is still some work to be done to fulfill the permits issued by the planning board. Which is why they are open, I think, to leaving the certificate open, but maybe getting some bond back. It was a fairly substantial bond. If you don't mind, let me just share I don't know if I could switch over. Oh, just going to share some pictures just so you can see. This was the work that was done to connect to the street drainage, which seems to have been done pretty successfully. This was the wetland down the side of the building. Let me just move my own things here that are in the way. And the next pictures are of the drainage basin. So we would ask Fred, I think, to remove the erosion control that's still here, because it's, at the moment, it's not actually like functioning. If it's not going to allow an overflow if the erosion control is in front of it. There is quite a bit of water held in there at the moment, so just ask Fred if he is fairly happy with the way it seems to have turned out.
Yes, actually, I think I'm very happy. I monitor it quite a bit. It's actually not that far from where I live, and especially that rainstorm we received a couple of weeks back. I was curious how it actually performed very well in that rainstorm, which I think we received about 2.5 inches in quite a short period of time. So yes, I'm fairly happy with how it's performing.
Okay, so quite a lot of it has become grassed in and it's reasonably stable, but as you can see, some of it here, you know, it really still needs to be grassed, you know, it's not fully stable right there. We've got some rills that are happening, you know, from the water coming down from the slope. So that'll just have to hopefully grow in. Maybe they could even seed it a bit more in the spring. But I don't think I have an issue with them getting at least some of their bond back at this stage. The stormwater feature does seem to be designed as planned, or sorry, built as designed, should I say.
Okay. Okay, let's go commissioners, see if there's any comments. Ed?
That one right there in that right-hand picture bothered me when I was there too, it's like, that's just gonna continue to be erosion out through that area. And also in that same area, there's still chunks of asphalt, pretty good sized chunks of asphalt for that matter. And the drainage area itself with that blockage in front of it is definitely gotta be removed for that thing to be as efficient as you want it to be. 2 weeks ago rainstorm, I'm wondering, was that water as a result of that storm 2 weeks ago? Or was that pretty much the max that would fulfill? I don't know the answer to that, but I would suspect the drainage system is never going to work right if it's not really designed to take more water. And if it was, how's that water going to get into that drain? Unless you remove that.
Was that intended to be there, or is that just left over from the construction?
Yeah, that's just left over from construction to stop any silt. While the basin was getting stabilized from the hydro seeding, that was in place in the event it did rain, to stop sediment from getting into the system.
Okay.
The sad part about that is that's ice frozen over pond now. I don't even know if you can remove it without breaking it.
It's gonna
Oh, we could-
it's gonna be in the 50s.
Yeah, the
tomorrow.
temperature's gonna rate.
Yeah. Tomorrow's the day. Okay, is that it, Ed?
Yep.
All right. Don?
I don't have anything else to add.
Kent?
Nothing else to add?
Rob?
No, nothing else.
Oh, what was the?
Okay, yeah, I agree with the comments that are made. I don't think it's completely stabilized. The whole little earthen berm around it, that is intended ultimately to be grass covered, is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Because it's still kind of soft and mushy, and there is obviously the rills from the flow and stuff. So, but functionally, I think it's a drastic improvement because that used to sheet flow right over the sidewalk, and in the winter it was ice and terrible for pedestrians. So I commend you for getting that part of it resolved. So what was the bond on this?
I am looking right now.
7,500.
Yeah, 7,500.
7,500.
Yeah.
And what percentage do you think would be fair to return?
Do you think they should get more than 5 back?
No,
5? 5,000?
Return 5 and we hold 2,500? I think
Yeah.
that sounds what I was
I
thinking.
mean, they do still need to either apply a little bit of extra loam or at least, you know, just make sure it's the slope works.
I can chime in.
Yep.
Yes.
I
Sorry,
understand what you're talking about, but But honestly, the work necessary to just put some loam down and seed is probably $200. I'll be very honest with you. I think $2,500 is extremely steep. I believe 500 is probably more than enough to just to dust off with some loam and rehydraseed. Again, you're probably looking at about $200 worth of work. So with all due respect to the staff and the commission, if we could maybe reduce the bond from 7,500 down to 500, I think that's a little more reasonable.
But we're not insuring the cost of the project, we're insuring the effectiveness of the project, so. But I think you may have a point that 2,500 could be reduced. What if we say we held $1,000 and gave back 6,500? We'll take a vote on that to see if everybody agrees. How about you, Fred? Does that sound reasonable?
Again, I think it shows that the system is functioning as designed. And really, the only thing that's left is to just touch up and restabilize some of the areas that haven't. I think it should be more in order of $500.
Well, we traditionally require things to be stable and plant things to, survive a couple of growing seasons to, demonstrate that they're going to be effectively stable. So, and it really doesn't, it's more about maintaining that than it is covering the couple $100 that it would cost to do the work. The commissioners are free to vote no with any proposal that's put forward, but I'm going to stick with $1,000 as my recommendation.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I support that.
Okay. Any other issues? Okay, so may I have we'll be issuing the certificate? No, we'll just be returning, okay. So could I have a motion to return $6,500 of the $7,500 bond towards this certificate of compliance for 207 Cambridge Street? We will not be issuing the certificate of compliance itself. You have such a motion?
So moved, Kent.
Second?
Okay. All right. Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And chairman votes yes, a vote of 5-0-0.
Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a discussion for a violation at 11 Marjorie Road. Is there someone here for that?
There's nobody here for that.
Okay,
So I'll just give you a little background. This was, we got a report of some tree cutting going on at Marjorie Road. I went out there. They were in the process of doing cutting, so I talked to the tree company, had them stop cutting. They gave me the owner's contact information. I spoke to the owner on the phone, explained to him that they were cutting in the buffer zone to wetlands, if not within wetlands, and that they needed to stop, and that I would schedule them for an upcoming conservation meeting. Unfortunately, I didn't get an email address for the person, so I do have a phone number. We physically sent a paper agenda in the mail this week, and I'm not sure if they received it in time to obviously to show up to the meeting. So I would recommend that we continue this item to the next meeting. I'll try to talk to the person on the phone, make sure that they get a copy of the agenda and the meeting link.
and what is the resource area here?
There is a channel at the back. I think I have an aerial that I'm just going to share as well. There's a significant swath of wetland that goes between the houses on that road and the road behind.
Okay, is it a regulated stream?
It is not.
No.
Okay, so it's just a wetland then, regulation.
Well, the work was probably within 100 feet to bank of an intermittent stream.
Okay,
Does that count? Now I'm confusing myself.
well, it's still not going to be a 200
It is,
foot.
no,
No, it's going to be the
Nope.
normal wetland protection, 20-foot no disturb and 100-foot
Right.
concern. Okay. And what else we have? So, we need to just take a motion to continue this. We'll try to schedule a
You
site
don't
visit.
really, it's not a hearing or anything. Well, I'll just put it on the next agenda.
Okay, and we'll try to get a site visit planned if we can coordinate,
Right.
so we can see what it entails. Okay, very good. Next item, item number 7, a continued public hearing for a notice of intent at 214 Wynn Street, Robert Bonanno, to reset a culvert, trench, and install electrical conduit, modify the driveway with a new wall, DEP number 122684. Good evening.
How are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
Good, thanks. Last time we were here, we were
Introduce
charged-
yourself for the record, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. For the record, my name is Mary Trudeau, and I'm representing Mr. Bonanno of 214 Wynn Street this evening. At our last hearing, the commission charged us with answering a couple questions. One of them was the length of the culvert that went underneath the driveway, and Mr. Luther went out and measured it, and it is 28 feet. So that's the length of the pipe that we will be resetting underneath the driveway as part of this project. The other thing that has happened since then, and I had sent a letter to the commission, was that Mr. Bonanno has decided he doesn't want to put the decorative trim on the driveway at this point. So he's just taking that off the table.
So that means actually less work involved.
Less work involved, yeah. So the two parts of the project that are still in front of you will be the installation of the electrical line below ground, cutting off, and with that, cutting off the telephone poles flush with the ground and taking out the top part. And then, the other part of the project is the resetting of the culvert to make sure that water still flows in the stream.
Okay. Comments from the staff?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay, so we would be, any other comments from the commission? All right, I had some notes from the last time. Okay, with the detail, the cobblestone edge, but that's now off the table. The conduit, discussion that, yep, that's all the items that we had requested last time. So, let's go over the decision, please.
One question, Mary, for you, before you do that.
Yeah.
The curiosity again on my part, where those leaves are in that culvert, it seems like it's going down into it and then back up. Is that just an illusion? The water, it was going down when we were there, and then it's like leaves, and then you see water coming back up again. But it wasn't level. I couldn't understand why
The
it was
culvert
doing
is not
that.
level?
Right through there, just like a path.
Yes.
That culvert was releasing water, more so on the other side of the,
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
not horizontal anymore. I think it's sunk. And
is
that
that what
it's-
it did?
and that's what the problem is, that it looks like they just laid it on the ground and didn't put any sort of firmer bedding like stone beneath it.
Leaves
And it just-
covered it, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, and it's really flat. It's actually hard to tell which way the water would run, just in that particular spot.
That's the, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with the findings. We've sort of gone over the project description already. So the head wall is actually, in our project description, that is actually, so the head wall is being removed?
There really isn't a head wall. I think that your description in the permit of just a hand-laid boulder head wall
Uh-huh,
is more than enough.
okay. All right. So the conduit cable will be above the culvert. Filing history, the planning documents, wetland areas and values. The commission finds that the bank and bordering vegetated wetland delineation is accurate as shown on the approved plan. The project is exempt from stormwater management standards. The trench for the conduit is expected to be no deeper than 3 feet. Work will be scheduled during a period of low or no flow. And once again, the conduit is going above the reset culvert, so there'll be no digging, deeper below the culvert. So then there's a draft conditions under the bylaw, which will include a $2,000 proposed bond. That's basically it for the findings in the bylaw. Then the order of conditions, once again, the same plan references, it's fairly standard order. The order works, permits work within the buffer zone to bank and BBW. Standard conditions about notification, written notification of the start of work, inspection of erosion controls, all standard conditions, nothing. And did we send this to Mary?
We did, and Mary has seen these about
Yeah, okay.
50 times before.
So it's all standard pollution control conditions. Condition 43 is a prohibition on heavy equipment within the stream or the wetlands. Condition 44, prohibition on invasive plant species. Condition 45, the standard condition about how to achieve a certificate of compliance. And condition 37 and 44 are actual perpetual conditions. That's it.
The only comment that I had was, the erosion control product that you've specified is the 12-inch Filtrex tube, which is a pretty hefty product for the amount of work that we're doing. I could see using it at the culvert where we're replacing it, because you might have water coming in or out of that pipe. But for the length of the driveway where we're just putting in the conduit, I would think that straw wattles like the utility companies use would be okay, because they're gonna be out there for only a day or so.
Can
doing
I
that
chime
work.
in? I think I drafted this, so John might have a different idea, but I kind of only really anticipated you having the erosion controls near the stream. What about you?
That would,
Like
That
20
would be
feet
fine.
either side?
yeah,
Not-
'cause
not the
other
whole
work
way
is
down.
just, it's so quick.
Right.
You know, they'll be sweeping it back in the hole before.
But we can say installed, for 20 feet on either side of the driveway,
Okay,
something like
that's
that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Does that work for you, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good on that? All right. So in that case, I think we can wrap this up. So since this is a public hearing, it's a little more involved in closing it. Could I have a motion to close the hearing for the notice of intent at 214 Wynn Street, DEP number 122684?
Move.
Second, Don.
Okay, a vote. Ed?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Rob?
Rob can't vote on
Oh,
this.
we can't vote,
okay,
because you
I
weren't here for
agree.
the last one, so
Oh,
he
I
understands,
just
all
wanted to
right,
close it, couldn't
yes. And the chair votes yes, so a vote of 401, the hearing is closed.
Thank
Could I,
you.
was there a question? Could I have a motion to approve the findings under the Burlington Article 14 and the State Wetland Protection Act for DEP number 122684?
So moved, Kent.
Second.
Okay, vote, Ed,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so that's a vote of 401. Could I have a motion to approve the order of conditions under Burlington Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act for DEP number 122684?
So move.
Second, Kent.
All right, Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, another vote of 401. And finally, could I have a vote to approve performance guarantee of $2,000 for this project under DEP 122684?
So moved, Kent.
Second.
Second, Don.
Okay, Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes for 401 again. Thank you very much.
Thanks, have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
As long as one member is on the screen, we have to do that close by voice. If everybody was in the room, we could just say all in favor and raise hands. So that slows it down a little bit, but that's just to make sure it's on the record.
Which after March, we'll probably have to do.
Yeah, go back to normal, yeah. We'll see, there should be some public discussion about that, I would think. Okay, so now, next up is under item number 8, we have a vote for a motion to accept land donation on 2 parcels on Drake Road.
So just to clarify this, so you voted on this, I think, 2 meetings ago, but there's actually a motion that town council prepared to actually vote on, so your vote isn't as written up by town council. So we just need to do it again using this motion.
Okay,
Procedural question?
Yeah.
Do I sign this?
No.
No, because it was okay.
Dawn has to sign it, though.
Don, will you be able to come in, or would you like me to just go out to your house for one last signing?
The first one I signed only once.
Stop by.
Thank you.
Okay, so I need to read this motion, and then we will all vote to agree to accept the donation of land. So the motion is, quote, "I move that the Conservation Commission pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8C, and the vote of the Select Board authorizing the same and dated 11/14/2022, accept the 2 parcels located off Drake Road in Burlington, Middlesex County, Massachusetts, including parcel A containing approximately 19,423 square feet, and parcel B containing approximately 1.153 acres, as depicted on a plan entitled Subdivision Plan of Land located in Burlington, Mass. Said plan having been endorsed by the Burlington Planning Board on September 15th, 2022 as an, quote, approval under the subdivision control law not required, end quote, and subsequently recorded at the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds as Plan Number 633 of 2022 and owned by C&L Homes LLC for conservation purposes. How do you vote? Ed?
Wait, somebody has to make a second.
Oh, we need a second. I moved that. We need a
Right.
second.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All right. Ed?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes also. We have voted to accept land, which is great.
Excellent, thank you.
And that's a
Flooding conservation
protocol
plan, which is also.
that just happened?
Pardon?
That's protocol which just happened? But you gotta go through that committee first before we can vote on something like that?
I guess. I mean, we've never done that before, but that's the way town council wrote up the motion.
We had a couple of like these things last year where somebody wanted to develop a parcel adjacent to conservation land. We kind of negotiate with them, okay, you can develop, but give us a piece of it back. And it has worked out in both cases. Of course, we prefer they didn't even develop such things, but we don't have the authority to say no. Okay.
But so the board can't just accept the land, the select board has to approve it. You couldn't just take land, accept a donation without the select board approving it
Which
first.
stops us from voting first, like we did. That
Right.
vote
Right.
basically goes for naught.
Okay, next up, 8B, planning board comments. Any comments for the planning board needed? I don't think so for
No.
tonight, no.
Well, we'll probably say something to them about 5 Burlington Woods. It's going in front of them too, right?
Right, we have a DCM though
Chat
before
about
that, so,
the stormwater.
yeah.
Okay. Subcommittee staff reports and updates, anything? Nope. Other business, I did see last night, I was watching a Monday night's, select board meeting that the property on Sawmill Road is back up as a possible purchase again. So hopefully that does occur, we'll see.
Right, so that's 3 parcels on the right-hand side of Sawmill Road. We got approval from town meeting in 2011 to purchase them. And then the owner just sort of disappeared, and now his son has approached us and said that they're interested in selling again, so we'll see.
So we have to get it appraised and then
Yeah, go back to
Give
town
them-
meeting again.
get a fair market price.
Yeah.
And just to go on my bandwagon, this is the type of thing that the Community Preservation Act would encourage and try to fund. And the people who were saying no to the CPA said, well, why don't, we can just do this stuff at town meeting. So here's our opportunity. Put it up there and see if we can do it, just putting it in front of town meeting without the Community Preservation Act. Okay, upcoming meetings, January 26th.
Can I, before we just do, can I
Yes.
just add one sentence into other business, just to let you know that the Attorney General approved the stormwater bylaw changes that you made in town meeting, so that is officially in place now with the new thresholds.
So any projects from here on out
Yes,
submitted?
yep. 5,000 instead of,
Okay.
and all the rest that
Yeah,
that you
yeah. And that does not apply to anything that
that came in before.
was in progress at that time?
Right.
Okay. Great. That was relatively quick, I think.
It was nice and efficient, Bill, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so upcoming meetings, January 26th and February 9th are the next two meetings. Anything else? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Ed seconded. Okay, let's have a vote. Ed?
Yes?
Don?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, 500. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don, for coming back for
Thanks for
one
coming
more
back.